Hey everyone, welcome to the Farmstead Ministries, where we create handcrafted products to help people in need. Today we're going to show you from start to finish how to make the Gwendolynn, our custom leather-wrapped journal. Let's get into it. We want to thank our sponsor Tandy Leather for the opportunity and the supplies needed to make this project happen. We used Tandy's Old World Veg Tan side in 5 to 6 ounces, 1/2 inch by 50 veg tan strip, some thread, and some paper. We also use saddle soap, leather conditioner, gum trag, and beeswax. Grab the full list of materials and supplies and print out your free pattern from the description below. After you print and cut out your pattern, place it on your leather and trace it using your scratch awl. At this point, only trace the outline of the pattern and the 1/2 inch punch holes. You will mark the binding holes later in this project. I like to rough cut around the outline of my project to give myself a more manageable piece of leather to work with. I like to use a round knife, but you can use any type of cutting blade that you have. Now that my project is easier to work with, I grab a straight edge and cut out the outline. For now, I leave the punch holes as they are, and I also don't round the corners at this step. Just leave your edges square, and it'll leave you with a nice rectangle. After you cut out your outline, it's time to mark your fold lines. Flip your project over so the flesh side is facing up. Place your template on top, making sure that the punch holes are on the correct side. Make 2 marks at the top and 2 at the bottom, and connect using a straight edge and your scratch awl. Now it's time to wet form our journal. Place the leather on a granite slab or a very smooth surface. Then you're going to grab a sponge, soak it in some water, and go back and forth across the top and the bottom of your leather. You want to make sure to wet the entire surface of the leather evenly so that no watermarks appear when it dries. You could also soak your leather in a water bath. It would just take much longer to dry. The more you wet form projects, the more you get a feel for how much water you need. Now it's time to fold our leather. I use a wooden block that I cut down to 1 inch by 1 inch, but you can use any straight edge. Start folding and forming your leather using your fingers by pressing and sliding along the edge. For the next fold, I use the cover as the guide, making sure it's lined up. Then I place my straight edge block and start doing the same thing by folding and forming, but this time I press it all the way down flat. Close your journal and set it aside to dry overnight. When you come back the next day, it'll maintain this shape for the rest of its life. So simple and so effective. Here we are a day later, and this is what it looks like once it's dried. You see, it wants to maintain that shape, which is perfect for our journal. Now it's time to round those edges. I have some old 90-degree punches that I've used for years and really need some new ones. So it's a little unconventional, but it works. I hold them with some pliers, line it up, hit it with my maul, and I repeat this with all 4 corners. Hopefully you have a better set of punches than I do. You can also round your corners by tracing out the template and simply using your round knife or an X-Acto blade. One aspect I love about leatherwork is you can start with very minimal tools and still create very beautiful projects. After we round our corners, we want to make them as smooth as possible. I'm using Tandy's Craft Tool Pro burnishing machine, which has a burnishing wheel on one side and a sanding wheel on the other. Sanding your edges makes them much easier to burnish and results in a polished, professional finish. Continue sanding until you've completed all 4 corners. After sanding, we need to bevel the edges. The size I'm using is a number 1 edge beveler. Continue edge beveling until you've completed all the edges of both sides of your leather. Once all the edges are beveled, we can move on to burnishing. I start with a product called gum tragacanth. All you need is your gum trag and some paper towels. I've experimented with various kinds of application processes, but what I find works best for me is just to dip my finger in the gum trag and run it along the edges. Just be careful when you're applying it to only apply it to the edges and try your best not to get it on the face of your project. I work in small sections, so I'll do one side of the journal at a time, and then I'll go use the burnishing machine, come back, and do another small section. The paper towels are here just to wipe off your fingers between applications. Have your burnishing machine or your hand burnisher nearby because you want to go straight into burnishing. Start burnishing the section you just applied your gum trag, making multiple passes until you've achieved the desired finish. If it's not getting as smooth as you'd like, you can always reapply gum trag and continue burnishing. It's a slow process, but a very important one. Burnishing will make your products feel finished, high quality, and very professional. Repeat this process until you've burnished all edges of your journal. If you don't have a burnishing machine, you can achieve the same results using a hand slicker. It just takes more time. Now that our edges are nice and smooth, there's one more step: beeswax. This is just a block of 100% beeswax, and you want to coat all the edges of your journal. Using beeswax will make your edges even smoother, provide a nice sheen, and make them more durable and more waterproof. Now back to your edge burnisher and make one more pass. Now on to one of my favorite steps, heat imprinting. I'm using the Tandy Pro heat imprinter along with their brass and printing set. Using a set like this allows me to add my customer's initials, creating a custom piece that's one of a kind. Once the machine's heated up, it's time to imprint those initials. Every machine and every piece of leather is different, so always use a scrap piece first so you don't burn your project. We also put our Farmstead maker's mark on the back of our journals. Alright, let's check it out. It's starting to look like a journal with custom initials on the front and our brand on the back. The Gwendolynn uses a 1/2-inch veg tan strap to keep the journal closed. Measure and cut the strap to 42 inches long. Then using a round knife, I make angled cuts at each end. Using a round knife makes this part very easy. With all our pieces in place, now we move on to cleaning and conditioning our leather. First, I use saddle soap. Wrap a cotton rag around your fingers, dip them in some water, and then make a nice lather with your saddle soap. With the saddle soap on your rag, apply it to the cover of your journal in small circles. Continue dipping your fingers in the water and creating that lather in your saddle soap, and repeat the process until your entire journal cover has an even application. Once finished, wipe off any excess saddle soap and use your cotton rag, give it a nice little polish. And don't forget to do the same step for your strap. After you've applied your saddle soap, set it aside and let it dry. Once it's dry, there's one more step in the conditioning process: Aussie's Leather Conditioner. To apply Aussie's Leather Conditioner, just dip your fingers into the jar and massage it into your leather. Don't be shy with this product. You want to apply a nice thick coat because it's going to sit on your project for 10 minutes. Then you'll remove the excess later. You want to apply the conditioner to both the top and the bottom of your journal, and you even want to apply it to the edges. It'll even give your edges a nicer sheen. Again, don't forget your strap. I've forgotten about the strap countless times. Once finished, set this aside for 10 minutes. Now that our 10 minutes is up, grab a clean cotton rag, set down your journal, and remove all the excess. Once all the excess is removed, continue polishing and buffing your journal until you get the finish that you're looking for. Next, we're going to punch the holes in our journal cover. Lay your journal flat with the finished side up. Line up your template and mark the binding holes with a scratch awl. Then punch out those holes using a round hole punch. The size of these holes is determined by the size of your stitching needle and thread. I'm using Sadler's harness needles with 1mm waxed thread. You just need to make sure that there's enough room to comfortably get your needle and thread through. Now grab your oblong punch to punch out our final 2 holes. This is the last and final step of our journal cover. In part 2, we show you how to bind this journal and finish this project. Be sure to check it out. Thanks.